everyone, welcome back. This is part 3, I think, of making a Housewife needlebook roll thingamajiggy. So I'm slowly but surely figuring it out. I am going to not use the back fabric. I didn't like it. It was too stark white, even though this is white. This is a much softer, flimsier fabric. I'm going to, well, it seems like it anyway, even though I think it's the same fabric. I think I took that off of that fabric. Anyhow, stop. So what I'm going to do is, that's the front. I cut down the lining for the back. So this is the lining. It's the same size, same shape, because my brain couldn't work around the rest of it. I'm going to use one of the pockets here that I showed in the previous video. And yes, it's too long. It's going to have to be cut off, or the alternative is going to be that these are going to be folded under. It is going to make it a little chunky because this is thick, like 3 layers of fabric, and a folded over, that'll be 6 layers of fabric. But the other thing I might do is just line that edge up, because I absolutely love this flower. And I'll trim this. And I think in the end, I'm going to either do an overcast stitch, a blanket stitch, or wrap the edges with small pieces of fabric, or one long piece of fabric. I don't know. I might bind it. I might not. Haven't decided that yet. Okay. So those are those pieces. I have some raw wool here. Now it has been washed, but as you can see, it's fresh off of the sheep. Let me zoom you in a little bit. So fresh off of the sheep. It still has grass in it. It is washed. There might be a tiny bit of lanolin left in it, because when I wash raw wool, or when I used to wash raw wool, I have bags of wool downstairs, bags. I used to spin wool, and I can still spin it, but there's a lock straight off of the sheep. And this is extremely soft. I could probably wear this wool, and I don't wear wool. I don't wear wool mittens. I don't wear wool socks. Yeah, I don't wear wool. But as you can see, it's still got hay in it, and grass bits, and yeah, dirt probably. We'll just get rid of this little, whatever that is. Probably some poop in it. You know. There, see? And that's the end of an actual lock right there too. And you can test wool's strength by tugging on it. This is a very strong wool, and it's been sitting in my basement for probably 5 or 6 or 8 years. Probably close to 8, maybe longer. So yeah, so that's what's going to go inside my pin cushion, because I read that, let me get started on this first. Thread. I need a strong enough thread, but a thin enough thread to gather this. I'm going to try this fine crochet thread that I have. I don't know which one of these. There's 2 ends here. One of them must lead to another end. There we go. That should be enough to get around it. So I'm jumping ahead with all my frantic thoughts. So first off, that already has a knot in it. I hope this finds you well. Secondly, I am recording this the same afternoon that I finished my previous recording, because I really want to get this done this week. And it's Monday now. We have plans on Wednesday. We probably are going out tomorrow as well. At least I'm going to try and talk Tony into it. Now, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if this is going to be too big for a... I don't think so. This is going to be a little pin cushion, so we'll see. It might be too big. If it is, then, you know, I'll figure the next thing out. Now, do I want it square or do I want it round? That's the question. Oh, never-ending questions. I kind of like the idea of a square one, so I'm going to go with it. But I'm going to give myself plenty of... I've done a square one a couple of times. They're kind of fun. So I'm hiding that knot in there. And I'm just going to do this. So back to the wool. I searched how to sharpen pins and needles, what to put in a pin cushion. Well, in the old days, they used wool from a sheep with the lanolin still in it. Now, if you don't know, lanolin comes from sheep's wool. They process the wool in such a way to get the lanolin off of the wool. And to get sheep's wool, you do not have to do away with the sheep. Just so you know, sheep are not harmed when getting wool from them. So I've watched sheep shearing many a time, and the sheep are not harmed unless the shearer is really just not a good shearer. They may get nicked, they may get, you know, naked, but they don't get harmed typically. So, and I used to spin wool into yarn, but then I used to make things from the yarn, but I couldn't wear the things I made because I'm very sensitive. Great. Noise. Last fall, they were building a pond outside our house, not too far down from us. And that hurt. I poked myself. And there was noise all during the fall, late summer and fall. Now they are doing something else over there. Same area. So there's more noise. Why is it when the doors need to be open because there's beautiful sunshine and fresh air, spring air, fall air, you know. It's nice out. It's cool enough to open the doors. Why? Why is that when they have to make noisy projects happen? So I'm hoping this is not going to be too big. I have a feeling it might be, but we'll see. I'm not very good at figuring out the measurements of what you start with and what you end up with as far as Suffolk puffs or yo-yos are concerned. But square ones are kind of fun and different. So, okay. All right, let's see what we get if we gather here. Before we get around the fourth side, because then it becomes even trickier. This will give me some idea if I'm going too big. I don't think I am, to be honest. Okay. I think it's going to be just the right size. Gonna be. Okay. Let's come up here. Uh-oh. Come on. No trouble now. I'm almost there. Okay. Will you still gather now that I did that? Yes. All right. Now, so did I finish my thought about the wool? So the lanolin supposedly helps keeps the needles running smoothly through your fabric, and the wool helps keep the needles sharp. That's what I read about how they did it in the old days. So I thought, well, if they did it in the old days, now I did used to have a bag of wool that was totally not cleaned yet. It hadn't been washed, but it smells. And honestly, you don't want a ton of lanolin because lanolin is oily. And I thought, well, you know, if I use really raw wool, besides I think I got rid of the bag. If you use really raw wool with pure lanolin on it, the oily stuff, I would be afraid that eventually that would sort of leak through the, I have a thing here, hold on. That would sort of eventually end up leaking through the fabric, absorbing into the fabric, and possibly affecting the entire piece by getting a little oily, sort of, kind of. So I thought, I don't know that I want to go that extreme. However, I really like the idea. All right. Put the needle down before you poke yourself, Martha. You will definitely do that if you're hanging on to it and you make a... Okay, so I'm going to loosen this a little bit. And I'm going to fluff my wool out. Now see, I would normally do this and then spin this wool into a yarn, which I really should start again because I have a lot of wool downstairs. I could make my own wool threads. When I first started spinning, I spun really big, thick, chunky yarns, and then my yarns got finer and finer and finer, and there's a saying that once you start going fine, you can't ever go back. It's tricky to go back to making big, chunky, fun yarn. All right, so how fun is this? That's a pin cushion I bet you haven't seen on YouTube, you know, maybe in forever. Who knows? I don't know. I haven't looked it up. I could be totally wrong. Maybe a lot of people do this. And I don't know how it's going to work as far as, how about we don't put the hay in there? I don't think that'll contribute to sharpening my needles. But I should look it up and see if anybody else has done this. You stuffed your pin cushion with what? I think that's what I might name this. You stuffed your pin cushion with what? I just love this little lock right here. That little curly, yeah. I forgot that my camera was zoomed in really tight, so I hope I'm not blinding you with doing this. Okay. Oh, my nose is itching. I'm telling you. Okay. Now, let's pull this tight. Oh, look at that. That's why I wanted to use a really strong thread. So this crochet cotton is perfect. Okay, let's try it. Oh, that's nice. Ooh, that's nice. Now, granted, should I put a little, like a piece of cardboard in there? Should I try and stuff a little more in there maybe? mean, I still want to be able to fold this thing up, roll it up when, you know, the whole thing. I need to still roll it up when this gets in there. So I can't have it too. But I don't want to put cardboard in it because pins and needles can still go through cardboard. Now this isn't where I'm keeping my pins and needles. That's a whole different section of this. I think I could stuff just a teensy bit more in there because I want it to be thick enough that I'm not, get the hay out. Come on. A lot of my wool is already processed, which means it's been washed and it's put through, you know, different processes by a big company that does that. Because I used to buy already processed wool. That's how I started. And then I started going to sheep and wool festivals, and I found a local person who had, a couple local people who had their own sheep, and I would buy directly from them, or I would go to the sheep and wool festivals and buy from them there. You know, buying local. I'm trying to sort of save these locks because if I do spin wool again, I'll want to use those to make some fun yarn or use them in another project, which will be coming up sometime in the future. I don't know when, but inspired by the Roxy girls and Create and Craft with Christine, who went to the Fleur Woods retreat. Sorry, couldn't remember the word. Oh yeah. Oh, that's really chunky now. Woo! Oh yeah, I think that'll be good because it will settle after a while. Now, I'm going to actually close this up because that's not the side that's going to show. All right, don't stab yourself. Oops, nope, don't want it down that far. Just want it up in here. Oh my goodness gracious. Pliers. Oops. Bear with me. I'm trying to get the pliers out without spilling everything else, and then my big scissors just went crashing to the floor. Okay. If you don't have yourself a pair of these pliers, this is from the Beadsmith, and I'll tell you what, they are fantastic. Very smooth, very good grip, fine needle nose, wonderful. Love them. Not sponsored. Wish somebody would sponsor me for something. I wouldn't be unhappy about that. Okay, come on, Martha. Just easier that way. Plus I put lotion on my hands. See how shiny my hands look now? They don't look like I'm 90 years old. Yeah. Oh, we're losing our shape a little bit. Come on, Martha. You don't want to lose your shape. Don't want to lose your shape. My shape got lost a long time ago. I sort of kind of want it to still be square-ish. think I just need to go to the other end. Just gather in these sides here a little bit. Come on, Martha. Okay. Work it out a little. Looks like a little pillow. And this wool does not smell. Now, if it got wet, it might smell like a wet sheep. Which, if you've never smelled a wet sheep, is not all that pleasant. But I don't plan on this getting wet. Okay. So I'm going to put that there, tie it off. Good gracious me. It's a lot of fabric pieces, layers. Okay. All right. Now, so if this went down here, which is my plan. Let me zoom you back out again, sorry. Okay, that goes down there. This goes here. I think this goes here. And then I want to make a scissors keep. Now, this pocket, there's not going to be enough room for both of these large pockets. However, behave everybody. I mean, I thought about putting that there, but I also thought about doing this, folding that under, which I hate to waste this fabric, and there's beads there too, so I could cut that off. But if I want to take these little scissors and put those in there, having that padded would help protect those from hopefully poking through the fabric. That would have to go there. This would go there like that. So those scissors could go in there. This could go here. And that does not take up the space where the scissors are. The scissors will be up here. I have to do that because if I put the scissors in this way, then I can't really roll it up. So I could do that. That was my thought. Okay, so that's the next step. I'm going to, I think, stitch this down, this pocket on the bottom. I think I'm going to stitch that like that. These will fit in there. With that just barely fit in there with that stitched. And I may put like a ribbon on these so that they're easy to pull in and out. And then stitch that down there. And then that would go on there. And the pins and needles as I'm working with them. Yeah, that's plenty of room. Like, I'd have to stick it in really far for it to go through. But that's not where they're going to be housed permanently, so I'm not worried about them poking through. I feel like I pulled that a little tight. And then this could roll up, roll up. That's a little poofy. I do have to admit. Up, roll up. That might do better on that side. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't want to. I may make another scissor keep and just put this. I don't know. I'm going to go figure this out and I'll be back for the rest of the video. Alrighty. Guess what? Decisions have been made and are being stuck with, at least for the moment. Not making any promises. Okay. This is what I've decided to do. I decided to take out the white lining that I was using. It's too nice of a piece of linen. And the reason I did that is because it was too plain. So these were going to sit on top of this, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do with the top of it? And I don't want to piece things together, and it's too plain and too white, and I don't know what I'm putting up here, and if I'm covering it, and blah, 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 blah. You know, more indecisiveness. Okay. So I took this piece of fabric, which was the perfect length. I cut it down. So this is the inside. This is the outside, and it's 2 layers as well. Okay. And then that gives this some substance, because it was feeling a little thin, but I don't want to put padding of any sort in it. I don't want to put quilt batting. I need to slow down. I'm a little hyped up. I don't want to put quilt batting in it because that'll make it too much, because I figure when I have fabric and threads and stuff in here, it's going to be pretty poofy even then. Plus, I still have my little pin cushion. I think it's going up here. I haven't decided yet. If I'm going to put it on one of these, I need to decide before I stitch these down. These are just pinned down. And I don't know. If I do that and that works for me. It makes it really poofy in the middle, but I'm thinking, depending on what I have in this pocket, it could poof it out even more, and that could make it complicated. I want to put it up here. So I told you, decisiveness wasn't completely solved. I want to put it up here, but I have to see how the top of this is going to work out, because I have plans for that. So what I did was I stitched, interesting. I think I have some stitching to do. I stitched this down the center and down each side around the top and bottom with just little invisible stitches. So you can't even see them. And that works for me. I tried doing like a long stitch with just a thread, like a cantha stitch. I personally am not crazy about cantha stitching. So I see what other people do and it looks nice. It's just not my thing to have it all kind of puckery and you lose the design of the pretty fabric that you chose. The white thread just stands out too much. I don't know. It's just not my thing, at least not at this point in my life. So I think I'm going to stitch these pockets down. Now what I did was I tried doing it otherwise. I did put fabric on here and hand stitched and did this. Let me see. I hand stitched it and on both sides and did it like quilt binding. When I used to make some quilts, I didn't do anything big or fancy. Well, I did a few ones, but I just couldn't see the sense of cutting perfectly good, pretty fabric into teeny tiny pieces, try and get them mathematically correct, and then sew them back together, and they never came out straight, and try and make one big piece out of it. So I worked with a lot of pre-cut squares and strips, and I liked what I made out of those. And if I was smart, I would have learned how to make, or I would have made some whole cloth quilts where you use just one piece of fabric for the top. But anyway, my favorite part of quilting was hand stitching the binding on. It was always my favorite part. So there you go. Okay, so I did that. Back out, zooming you back out. Close eyes. Open eyes. I did not bind the bottom of this one because I still have to figure out what I'm binding the edges of this with when I am done. I think I'm going to find a way to put this up here. Will it interfere with me getting things in and out of this pocket? Possibly. Is it still too puffy? Possibly. I took some of the wool out of it to well, they're mixed in with the other wool now. I took 2 tufts of wool out of it, and I might take some more because it's really floofy. And basically, I think, ow, I think my pins are probably going to go in like this anyway and not down, not straight down. There's no need to put them straight down. But, you know, I'm probably only going to use like, I don't know, 6 pins at a time and put my needle in it when I'm working. So, and that's just when I'm working. So I don't want it to be real big and fluffy beyond out of control fluffy. So I don't know, maybe I'll just take some more fluff out of it. We'll see. I don't want to unstitch the whole thing. I did that once already. I've stitched it up twice. I don't want to take too much out and have to stuff it back in. Well, that's not going to really make a difference. But anyway, so as you can see, there's still indecisiveness, but I did decide I want to use both of these pockets. I cut them down. Let's see. I think I can take that out. You have to go back in there. Go back. I'm going to make a bigger pincushion with wool. I'm really liking the wool stuffing. I don't know why I never thought of that before. I mean, I have all kinds of pins I want to separate into what they are for. Oh, I like that much better. I'm trying to sort of rearrange the wool inside there. Kind of like my pillows when they get too flat. You gotta rearrange the stuffing. That's better. It's still really fluffy. I didn't take a whole lot out, but as you can see, it doesn't take a whole lot to, maybe one more tuft. I'd like to get in there. It's kind of weird in a way, isn't it? But yet again, there's something satisfying about it. Okay. Yes. I could even take one more out. Am I going overboard? Maybe. Let's see. Got to get in between the threads that are crisscrossing the fabric here. Oh, I like that it's flatter, much better. Yep, and it's still, wow, that's nice. Okay. So I think that is going to go up here. The top is not staying this uncomplicated. So just know that I have to think ahead, and that's not always the easiest thing for me. Okay, so basically I need to stitch the bottom of this down. And I think it's going to be okay that the bottom of this pocket is so close to the top of that pocket. Why not? I think we used to do that in journals. I mean, in fact, we used to put like this underneath, like right about here, and they would overlap a lot more than that. So I'm going to stitch these down. My front, I noticed that I probably need to stitch this down. So I'm going to do that. I'm not stitching this down with, I might use an embroidery thread floss for that. Maybe this. Yeah. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and I'm going to tack this floppy edge down because I don't really want it flopping around like that. I don't think anything else is going on here. I could put some lace on there maybe. That might happen. But I just wanted to let you know where this one stands. And that's enough for this video. I'll be back in the next one tomorrow. And I will show you how the top is going to work out, because now I have to go off and figure that out after I get this down, this tack down. And I'm just going to tack stitch these down because eventually the binding is going to go on over the edges, whatever the binding is going to be. Haven't figured that out yet. And then, okay, so there we go. All right, so it's going to look like that on the inside, that on the outside, but I think I'm going to put some lace up here. The front needs a little prettying up. I need to put things on it, buttons or lace and some other things. I am going to do that just to make it nice. This is not going off to war with anybody, thank goodness. This is going to be mine as a housewife, as a stitcher, as an embroiderer, as a sewer, as a crafter. This is going to hold what I want. It's not going off to war. It's feminine. I like it that way, and it's going to stay that way. So I'll be back. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Happy crafting. I'll be back tomorrow with the next whatever you call it. I'll be back. See ya. Thanks. Bye.